Hi guys, my name is Live Mondo and welcome to part 3 of my Leviathan raid guide. So today's video we're going to be covering the dogs, or the pleasure gardens. It's a really straightforward encounter, doesn't really take a lot of explaining. So to start this off, you take all the ads out, get your heavy ammo, make sure everybody gets shots on the ads. If you get shots on a yellow bar, you'll get heavy ammo. It's not just the ones that kill them. So to start the encounter off proper, everybody kills the ads, you get up to the room at the back, that's your safe room. On top of that room there'll be 2 crystals lit up right and left, and a circle at the back that will open once the guys pick up their prism weapon. So you want 2 prism weapon operators and 4 runners. So the prism weapon holders, they will traverse the rocks left and right where the lights are shining up, and they'll be looking for pods. Now there are 8 pods and they're lit up purple, and you've got 3 round the right hand side, 3 left, 1 in the trees in the left centre, 1 in the rocks right centre. And they're normally categorised as L1, L2, L3, R1, R2, R3, trees and rocks. Okay? And you'll be allocated a pod for later on. So you'll be allocated a pod number. You need to remember your pod location. So prism runners, they give you the location of the pods that are lit up purple. As the runners with your spores, as you can see here in the video, you have to make your way unseen from the dogs, which the prism runners will be. They will be directing you. They'll be telling you the location of the dogs, telling you to stop, when to go. But if you have an experienced runner, he'll know the best method to get to each pod, and it's normally through the rocks and the trees, to be fair, unless it's R1, R2, which are just out the doors of the safe room. All get up to the pod, the prism guy will then shoot the pod, and you will receive, if all 4 players are at the pod, you will receive a times 12 buff, okay, for every pod. So once you've got to your pod, say you went to R2, and the right hand prism runner shoots the pod from, he has to be within a beam of light to shoot it, because he just redirects the light. You make your way to the left pod, because a pod comes up at left and right at the same time. The prism guy, he now has to shoot a cabal that will come out of one of 3 doors. Now, for every pod that's shot, whether it's the right pod that gets shot or the left pod, a cabal will come out of both sides. So the prism guys need to be aware that once they've shot the pod, they have to aim for the cabal. Okay? So, you've done that. As you can see here, we're on times 24. We get times 36, I think, before we run out of time. Then you run. Once you run out of time, you get seen by a dog, or you've reached the amount of damage that you had agreed to do, 36, 48, whatever it is. Then you run to the pod location. So if you're allocated R2, you run to the right side to R2. Once the time runs out, or the dogs see, all the dogs will then go back to their pods. So your dog will come to you. You don't have to chase it around, it will come to you. Start dealing damage. Rockets, grenades, whatever. The only thing that could change is sometimes L2 and L3, the dog switches position, and sometimes, well, it's not sometimes, the dog can switch position between rocks and trees, but because that's a straight line, it's very close to each other, so have the most confident person on the ground take that. The only other thing you have to take into consideration is if you don't have enough damage to take your dogs down before you get seen, you have, I think it's between 20 and 30 seconds on the ground before the dogs will wipe you. So as you can see here, I'm dealing damage to my dog, and it tells you the dogs are doing their psionic howl. That psionic howl, if you're out in the open for more than 25 seconds or whatever it is, you're going to die. So if you don't reach enough damage, get to them, put a grenade, 2 rockets, and then get back to this room. Drop down inside, and that's your safe room. That is available for 4 damage phases, and then after that you're done. You have to take them out on the 5th one. And that's really about all there is for this video. In the description, I'm going to put a link in the description to a floor plan of the dogs area of the pleasure gardens. Have a look at it, find out the locations of the different pods. And I believe on there's the locations of the rocks with the lights showing you which pod you can see from which rock. So it's a pretty handy thing to have a look at.